Wait, do I smile?
You can if you want.
This is just real casual, dude.
Yeah,
Is this real awkward?
It's already videoing, so just go whenever. We can edit this part out.
Hey, this is Montana. She's 17 and she's a student at LaGrange College. Okay, so Montana. Based on your recollection, did you progress to the developmental stages on time? So like walking, talking, sitting up, you know, those type of things.
I mean, I don't really know, but I would assume so. Oh, wait, I do know that I never crawl.
You just went straight into walking?
No, I like scooted on my back.
Progressive. Okay, cool. So, this is going to be a little personal. So, what is your opinion of how you became you? So, like, were you born as Montana, or, like, is the person you become a product of the environment around you? Like, do you think you're more influenced by, like, your peers and, like, society, or do you think that's, like, you're just who you were born to be?
Yes, both. Can I say that? Should that be an answer?
No, it's totally an answer.
Oh, okay, both.
So, like, would you like to, like, you know, dwell a little more on the subject?
Because I am who I am, but you also are shaped by the experiences. But, like, I think at my core, like this is just who I am, and then, like, my experiences can, like, shape different parts of it.
So, like, do you think that, like, by saying, like, you are who you are, do you think that's, like, shaped, like, do you think that part of you was shaped by, like, parents and, like, early people who, early intervention, basically, like, or do you think, like, you were just born just like that?
Probably more born that way. And I mean, like, early on, definitely that was, like, more influential than probably now hearing stuff, but definitely born.
So what was your relationship like with your family as a child, like, and then what is your relationship with your family now compared?
I mean, it's probably about the same. I'm really close to my mom. I'm really close to my little brother.
That's good. So, like, what was your personality like when you grew up, and has that changed now?
I'm less bossy than I was as a kid.
But would you say that bossiness, like, turned into something else? Like, would you say, like, it turned into, like, a leader, or, like...
Yeah, I guess I always, like, tried to be a leader growing up. That sounds really cocky. I don't want it to be. But I was just really bossy and, like, rude with it. And then, like, growing up and, like, realizing that the real world, you can't be like that.
Also, whenever we talk about your parents and your relationship with them, whenever you were going through the typical, like, teen stages, do you remember having, like, unusual fighting with your parents, like, back and forth, just being that, like, typical teenager?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I definitely argued with them a good amount.
Yeah,
and a lot with my father.
Was it usually over something, like, pretty dumb now that you look back on it? Like, little arguments?
Yeah, I mean, there was big arguments, but there was a lot of little ones, too.
Okay. Sorry to hijack that.
You're good, dude. So, like, what was your friend, because since you are younger, so, like, when did you skip a grade?
I skipped first grade.
You skipped first grade. Okay, so, like, do you remember, like, when you skipped first grade, like, do you remember, like, your friend group drastically changing, and, like, do you remember kind of, like, did you ever feel, like, neglected or just, like, pushed to the side by, like, friends and peers and everything?
Okay, so I remember skipping first grade. I went to first grade for, like, 2 weeks. I was at a private Christian school, and they, pulled me out and they tested me, and they're like, no, you need to move up. And then, so I moved up to second grade, and they wanted to skip me another grade, and my mom goes, no, we're not doing that to her. So I didn't. So I moved up to second grade. So I still hung out with a lot of my, like, friends that I made in first grade, because that's who my mom knew, and that's who we, like, saw all the time. So I made some friends in second grade, but I was still, like, treated differently by the teachers, because they put me in, like, this special, like, reading program and the special math program. So even though I was, like, just moved up, they still put me in more stuff, so it was just, like, an awkward barrier between that. And then, like, all throughout, like, middle and high school, it was always awkward being the younger one. That's something I had to adjust to. So, like, all my friends got their driver's license a year and a half before I did. And, like, people can go to things before I could. And, like, it was just, like my mom, like, even coming to college at 17, like, there's things I couldn't do that, like, everyone else is allowed to do. So.
Like what?
I mean.
I'll edit that part out. Okay, so would you say that, like...
Thank you for not elaborating.
For the whole class.
Puberty questions and you just texted me and said puberty questions and not
Well,
weird
what are the
ways.
chapters in adolescence?
What'd you say?
She said puberty questions. Like, I think they're in here too.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure we cover the
It's not anything. It's not anything.
What did that say yes to?
It's not really descriptive. It's just like, do you remember going through everything like at the same time as people your age?
Like, yeah. Sorry. It's just, I'm reading the chapter.
It's not anything super embarrassing. You can just be like, yes, and we'll move on. I swear,
Okay,
we don't have to elaborate on that.
We're good.
Like what?
Like what? Tell me. What was the date? The exact date.
Okay, so when did you do you think skipping a grade was better for you in the long run, or do you think that it held you back?
If I could go back and do it all over again, and my mom says the same thing, I wouldn't have skipped a grade.
Okay.
Just because it's just caused a lot of whatever. I mean, I'm grateful for where I am now, but it's just... No.
So, like, because, like, I don't know, you seem to have, like, struggled a little bit with, like, being the younger one, like, were your views and, like, political beliefs, religious beliefs, etc., like, were they affected, were you more easily influenced by those around you? And, like, were those views more easily influenced?
There was, like, a time period, like, in high school when, like, I was okay with, like, people telling me things, and I would, like, start believing it, and then I realized that that was stupid. And so, I don't do that anymore. And I'm kind of just stay true to what I already know.
That's cool. So, did you, like, but besides skipping the grade, was your early childhood education stable? Like, did you stay at the same school? Did you switch schools?
I went to a lot of schools. For elementary school, I probably went to 4 different schools. Yeah, 4 different schools.
Did you learn how to write cursive?
Mm-hmm.
Can you show us that you wrote cursive?
What do I write?
Just, write your name. Whatever your heart desires.
Can I write your name?
Sure. Okay, can you write my last name too? Perfect. That looks great.
Yay!
Beautiful.
Go. So tell me a little bit about like a significant event.
Sorry. My bad.
So tell me about a significant event that has occurred in your life. Like the first significant event that ever comes to your mind. And like what makes this event stand out to you? Are there any more significant events that stand out in your mind? Like, can you just think, like, is there one event that just like, you're like, wow.
Like that just
That
shaped
shaped
you. That just was like, wow, this is
me.
And like, if you don't have one, then
Right.
that's also totally
yeah, I
okay.
do have one. I went on a mission trip for 2 months and worked in an orphanage in Asia, and that's what I'm doing with my life. So,
That's awesome.
there we go.
So you could say that you found purpose there.
Yeah.
So
I
like,
can say that, yes.
so like,
Sorry.
do you think that do you think that at one point, because you were younger and like you kind of like were in this like awkward age gap, you switched around to a lot of schools, like could you say that like going to Asia, right? Yes. So like going to Asia, like and like finding purpose there, like did that finding that like was that heightened even more, like that like feeling of like feeling useful and like feeling like you know where your life is going, was that even like elevated even more because you weren't necessarily like that out throughout your childhood? Do you think that helped, like, those feelings?
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, also we can edit this part out while I'm talking, but talk about like you.
Also, I didn't really know what your question meant, by the way.
No, yeah, we can edit that part out because that made no sense. And also, try not to put words in her mouth because he's gonna say something about that.
Okay.
But no.
Why did you do the interview?
Sorry, I've already been there, done that for him. And anyways, talk about like driving and stuff like that, but not really just driving, but did you progress at the same time even though you were
Okay.
even though
Are you telling me or telling
you,
her?
you like she
Okay.
can ask you this, but like you said your friends were older than you, but did you I don't know how to explain it, but just talk about more of like growing up and being on track with people your age.
Or like you weren't on track. Like,
Yeah.
You might have been like
You were
more
mature or something like that. Did you ever feel like you were more mature than your actual age group?
Yes.
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 Okay, yeah, talk about that because that's.
Because there's more
Wow.
questions. Like the questions on here, like in the cognitive and emotional, have to do with that. We're just
Okay, bet. Okay, bet. All
Because
right.
this is just about like her, like, because right now we're just like on like the physical stuff
Okay,
and like
cool.
growing up.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm blowing up your phone. I'm just literally going through the chapters.
Here, so why don't we go through the rest of them and then see if like if we like lack any, and then if we have any more,
We can add in.
then we'll add it.
Bet. Okay.
Are you guys good with that?
Yeah. What time is it? Anybody?
It's 10:05.
Okay. Well, we have 20 minutes.
You can stay in this room after. Not yours anymore.
If no one
Oh
else-
yeah, true. And
As
if
long as
nobody
no one
one's
comes in
in
here and yells at you.
Bet. All right.
Also, I really want to stay in here overnight.
We're doing
I
that.
know.
After I'm off to first.
How do you
Good.
stay over? Don't they check the
Or hide
Hide in the bathroom. You want to join us? We're
Why
doing
not tonight?
suspension.
No.
I thought you were in deferred suspension.
I'm gonna leave this in.
I can say I got locked out.
In the video.
Like, this is her.
This is the real Montana.
That's funny.
Okay, so how do you prefer to learn, and was that shaped by being younger? If that makes any sense.
What
Like-
do you mean prefer?
Like, how do you like? Do
What's
you
your
prefer video, audio,
Visual.
kinesthetic, like that kind of thing?
You know how everybody has like a learning type? Like I'm visual all the way. Like
And I'm like, I have to be hands on
yeah.
to like learn.
And I'm like a combination of everything.
Like some people
Do you know?
do PowerPoint.
I have no idea.
That's totally good.
That's-
I'm really bad
cool.
at listening. I don't listen. I draw. I doodle.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're probably kinesthetic.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
That's
So like, how do you think that you make decisions in your life? Are you more of an emotional thinker, or are you more of a logical
I
thinker?
don't really have emotions, so definitely logical.
Oh.
Sorry, I can re-say that. You
good.
can
Why
ask
do you
me.
not have emotions?
Was it
Just
shaped by
cause
something, or just how you
I
were born?
just,
you've always been that way?
yeah, I think they're a lot of work, and I'm not about it. And my brain just, I know what I'm supposed to do, so I just do it.
Sweet.
Make a lot of pro-con lists.
So very logical.
Yeah,
Cool. Do you care if we leave this part in here?
I don't care.
Alright, because that's a good answer.
Okay, I tell everyone I don't
Shout
have
out to you
emotions. Thank you.
for not having emotions.
So since you think very logically, tell me about a time when you handled frustration well, if you can think of one.
Or you didn't. No, sorry.
Do it, ask it again.
So, because you think really logically, can you remember a time that you handled frustration or like a frustrating situation well?
Sorry.
Like, this could even be like while working in clubs and organizations with people too. Like you can think of that because I know there's probably a lot of
Yeah, it doesn't have to
frustration.
be anything like super complicated.
Like if you
Handle it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like dancing.
Yeah, it's the handle it well that I'm stuck on.
I thought you said you didn't have emotions. 'Cause that's an emotion.
This interview is gonna be.
Okay.
Those are good answers though.
Yeah.
They are.
It's
A lot
content.
of them are younger.
Yeah.
So it's extra.
Handle frustration well.
Or how do you handle
Maybe yeah,
your
like do
frustration?
you handle frustration well?
Well, I'm definitely an extrovert, and I have to process through things. And so like someone will tell me something, and like, so the other night, like we had meetings for 5U for 6 hours in one night, and at the beginning of the night, someone told me something, and then I was like, what? And I had to process through, and I couldn't process through, and so I was just getting really frustrated as those meetings went on, because I was still trying to process, but I couldn't, because to process I have to like talk, and so I couldn't because I was stuck in all these meetings, and so I just got really frustrated as the night went on, and like it was because I couldn't just get through what I need to get through.
But so like when you do have time to talk,
Mhm.
do you handle frustration well?
Yeah, for the most part, like once I like talk through and like get through it, I'm fine.
Okay.
Like I literally just ignore it after that. But I just have to be able to talk through it and think through it. And like someone like expects something from me right then, I just can't do that.
And so like if you were comparing yourself to others your age, so 17-year-olds, how would you rate yourself? Like would you rate yourself more mature than the average 17-year-old, less mature?
Probably more mature.
And how do you think, like why do you think that? Do you think you've like, what life, like do you just, why would you think that?
I mean, I definitely have like probably more leadership roles than most 17-year-olds my age. Yeah, 17-year-olds. And so
I'm gonna edit that part out.
I have more leadership roles than other people my age. And so it's just like I have roles that like typically like people who are older than me would have. And so just like knowing that would probably be more mature.
So like how would you compare yourself to people in those like the same grade as you?
I mean, again, I have those leadership roles, so probably more mature.
Like people like, so like even, so you're what year-wise?
A junior.
So you're a junior, so like other juniors you would think like you're more mature than?
Maybe on the same level, like.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so who do you consider to be the most important people in your life? Your sisters.
My sweet sisters. I mean, probably my friends, my family, like basic answers like that.
Like your friends back home or your friends here?
Both. Because like my friends back home knew me at a different point in life, and my friends here know me at this point in life, and so just like it's still me, but like they know different sides of me in different environments.
Can you describe your relationship with your parents and your friends? And how does that relationship differ?
Like, how has it changed?
Which detail do you want to go in? Like a lot or like a little?
Depends
like
on
a
how
lot?
personal you want to get.
I mean, I can literally say whatever. How much do y'all want me to
It's
say?
really up to you. Whatever you think is suffice to answer the question. Do you want to get emotional?
I don't get
Do
emotional.
you want to get deep? It's up to you. It's whatever you feel comfortable with sharing.
Okay, well then, can you repeat the question because I totally forgot it right
Okay,
now.
so how can you...
Sorry.
Can you describe your relationship with your parents and your friends, and how does the relationship between your parents and friends differ?
Well, my relationship with my parents, I'm really close with my mom, and then I'm not close at all with my dad. And so, like, I know people are like, you don't want to be friends with your parents. So, like, growing up, me and my mom weren't really necessarily friends. But as I've gotten older and, like, as I, like, moved out, like, we're definitely more so friends now than we were. And so, like, I don't tell her, like, everything that goes on in my life, but, like, I'll tell her more now than I did. And so, like, with my friends, like, I'm not, like, open with most of my friends. Like, most of them don't know my life story, basically. And so it takes a lot for me to open up, and I'm very surface level with most. And then once I open up, I'm like, whatever. But I'm very surface level with a lot of people.
So, how would you describe your relationship with others? Like, not necessarily even friends. Just, like, people you interact with every day. Like, you wouldn't be like, oh, they're my friend, but, like, just people you interact with.
I just interact with them.
So is it just, like, surface level as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you describe your relationship with yourself?
Well, I know me pretty well.
So are you
Pretty
self-aware?
content.
Do you lack self-awareness?
I don't think if I lack self-awareness, I would know I lack self-awareness. Just saying, I think I'm pretty self-aware. Sorry. You can edit that out. Sorry.
She's pretty self-aware.
I'm gonna keep that part in.
Yeah, we're keeping that in.
I'm gonna keep a lot of things that you said in.
We like it, yeah. I mean,
It'll be funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be candid.
Okay, who's this professor?
Todd Prater.
He's really sweet.
I don't know him.
Yeah,
I'll keep that part in too.
Oh my god! We're not keeping that part.
So if you had to describe yourself to say I don't know you, how would you describe yourself to me?
A lot of pressure. I'm I have no idea.
That's hard though.
Are
It's
you
hard to-
extroverted, introverted?
I'm an extrovert. I'm like definitely an introverted extrovert. So like to process, like I have to like talk things through, like I said. But I also definitely need like time by myself, because if I'm just around people all the time, like I'm really like energetic when I'm with them, but then I'm like completely drained. So I'm an introverted extrovert.
You're a pretty driven person, like from what I know about you.
I'm driven.
Like you are. You have like you said
goals.
about your roles. You have like a lot of leadership roles,
Thank
and you're welcome. That's a lot for someone your age, especially like even just like regular freshman, but for you to be so young and take on so many roles, like that says a lot about like the type of person that you are. Just saying.
Let me ask you a question, kind of branching off of that. Like, what drives you?
Good question. I've never been asked that. I don't want to say I'm a people pleaser, because like I could honestly care less what people think, but I also don't want to like I don't want to just like screw them over, and I want to do what's best for people, and I want to do what's best for those around me. And so like if I know that I can do something, like I want to be able to do it for them, and I want to be able to serve people. So probably service would be what drives me.
So was that shaped after your mission trip, or was that shaped before?
Well, my mom's a youth minister, and like all my aunts and uncles are in full-time ministry or missionaries, and so like I've always been like around service, and like religion-based service, and so like doing it for like because you want to love, and so like that's probably been like my whole life. But then like for me personally, like I really understood why I did that on my mission trip.
So like also kind of going back, we asked about this earlier. Like, do you think that drive, like love and passion for service, is something that you were born with, or something that was shaped because your family was so involved and you were so like exposed to it at like a young age?
Probably both. Again, because I mean personally, I believe that you were created like as an individual, and so I think those experiences like shape you, but I think at your core, like you were created that way. And so like I believe that like I was created with this like service driven like personality, and so I believe like that my family has helped shape that, but I don't think that's what caused it.
So this question is a lot different from what we've been talking about. But, so, like, relationship-wise, like, friendship, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you're into.
You gotta be kidding me.
Whatever.
Love wins.
Hey, you.
I don't want to just assume.
Okay, well I don't have girlfriends. I'll tell you that.
Anyways, so how would you describe those relationships? I mean, like, okay, so do you, like, it just says how have you responded to a relationship that's ended, but I don't want to just, like, ask that just question, because that's so awkward.
Wait, how do you respond to relationships?
It says how have you responded to a relationship that has ended, so I kind of want to, like, branch into that, so think.
Just ask, like,
How you like?
just ask that. Just say,
How's it gonna start? And
just
how's it
talk about how
beginning?
she says she doesn't, like, have emotions. Be like, so since you say you don't have emotion, like, how have you responded to,
Being in a relationship.
and that's ended.
Okay, so since you said earlier in this interview, you said that like you don't really do emotions. So because of that, like very logical mentality and processing, how have you responded to relationships that have ended, like friendships, boyfriends, girlfriends, Anything?
I mean, it definitely takes me a while to process it. But typically, wow, this sounds really, really terrible, but I'm never really blindsided by when relationships end. Like, typically, like, I either, like, know it's coming and I'm, like, ready for it. Like, I'm, like, okay with it and, like, I have peace about it. Like, I'm ready for it to end. And, like, typically I'm the one that's, like, ending the relationship. Which sounds really terrible. I'm not a terrible
No,
person.
but it makes sense because you're so logical.
Yeah.
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 No, that totally makes sense. Because, like, you don't have, like, you can see why the emotional attachment ends there. And you can just move on. That makes sense. But, like, are you a logical thinker because you're uncomfortable with your emotions, or are you comfortable with your emotions, you just prefer to think logically?
I don't really know which one. I'm definitely a logical thinker first, and then, like, emotions are there, they're just not as valued to me, personally. Like, they are valued, but, like, in my head, like, I can't get past, like, if there's someone that, like, I'm, like, totally head over heels for, but I'm, like, no, they're a terrible person, why would you ever like them? Like, I can tell myself, like, don't like them.
I wish I could do that.
That'd be you, because what?
It took me a while to get there.
Can you tell me how would you do this?
Not a clue.
Because
Grace God.
I need a step-by-step
Can
tutorial.
you have a Jan term based off of
Have to janitor.
how not to fall for fuckboys?
So we should call this interview Montana's Guide How to Not Fall for Fuckboys.
Please do that.
I wish we could just submit this entire video because the whole class would be just rolling for the whole hour.
Oh, 100%. Or that, or they just feel really uncomfortable.
Right.
That's
Or
true.
there's like two ways it could go.
You're so right.
Wait, so what else are we doing 5 letter skills wise?
I really don't know
I want
because
to dance.
because
I'll dance with you, and I'm awful.
Well, we can test a reaction time. We can throw things.
Please don't throw things at me.
because the thing is, it's easy for you to test like a 4-year-old because there's lots of little activities.
I'll chew.
Chocolate. Whose chocolate is that?
Mine.
Or
Mine.
Like, you
How
can
do I
eat it.
get-
That's like part of it too. Is like break it up
Like, how
in
do you
pieces and eat
eat?
it.
Like, are you good eating?
No.
Some people are the worst eaters. They just spill everywhere.
I can't eat spaghetti.
How long
I'm
is
really
it?
bad at eating spaghetti.
I don't know.
How long is this
it's
video
like-
gonna-
It's been 27 minutes. Almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, so like some
We're
people
gonna
are
have to
really
edit the fuck out of
messy
it.
eaters, or they're just like gross, and you can like figure it out. You know?
I'm not gross, not messy, but I'm really messy with spaghetti.
Well, we just don't have spaghetti on.
We have
Sorry.
chocolate. We
No,
have
like, you know
chocolate.
how you're supposed to do that thing where you, like,
No, I don't do that.
do the
I just cut it
spoon,
and
like,
that
in
way
the
it's
fork?
like-
I
Oh yeah, I
can't
can't
do that.
do that either.
I'm not
So it's just-
coordinated.
Yeah. I don't know. What can we do?
Sorry, I'll talk less than the rest of the
Okay,
questions.
no, like you're totally okay. Like this is good.
Okay.
We'll just edit it.
Yeah, we're gonna edit the whole thing.
We don't like need.
We don't know what we're doing either.
But going back, we can brainstorm while we do the rest of it. But
And honestly, like, we could get Libby, or you live with Libby? Who said she lived with Libby?
No, me and
she's
Libby-
always together.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I was about to say, we could get someone to video you do something for it. Like, you have a soccer ball, you said? Am I making all this stuff up? You have a soccer ball?
let's do that.
Well,
I think what time are you
see
eating
her
lunch
lunch.
tomorrow?
I can like video her.
Probably
lunch.
11.
Okay, I'm gonna come. No, she's eating lunch at 11. We'll just go in there at 11.
Okay.
Video me eating lunch.
Well, I have
Well,
class
videotape-
at 11.
I have lunch. I have class at 12, so I can go there.
But I
and
can
I'll
skip. I skip all the time.
I'll
So you can
videotape
watch
her.
me eat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll videotape her like walking to the cafe, like getting her plate.
So creepy. But for real, do it.
You know this will be
And
so
see how
funny.
she interacts with people.
Yes.
And then
we
I'll
won't
tell you.
Well,
my-
video, I'm gonna wear a fake mustache and video you.
Please do. You can only do it if you guys like that.
Okay.
Just have to
What
ask.
time is it?
Be a total
10:23.
creep.
Okay, they close at 11.
Just
Okay.
pretend like
Did I
you're
already ask
not
you if you're
there.
comfortable with your emotions?
Yeah, you asked her that.
Yeah, because I'm emotional.
We have a lot of really good stuff though, so if you like want to just pick a few more questions to ask.
No, there's only. This is the last one.
I was about to say, 'cause we have like really good stuff
Yeah, I agree.
and a lot of really stupid stuff.
You can like edit it at the end.
Yeah.
Have them watch. You know, like that person.
Bloopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, why did y'all add this if we add
We'll have a
bloopers?
separate link.
We need-
If you want to watch the bloopers, you can.
First of all, we need to just submit the part where Moore's like, Todd Barry, he's so sweet. Just give him that as our
Give
whole
him like that
presentation.
extra point.
Okay. So
He's going a little late on this one.
Sorry.
Make sure you edit this part.
You're sweet though.
okay.
Alright, ready?
So is there a certain emotion that you are comfortable with?
I'm comfortable with all of them.
So you're you just don't
I
like
just don't.
you just don't do them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm fine with them, and, like, if I have them, like, whatever, but, like, at the same time, I'm, like, if I know that it's not correct, like, if I know
You
it's
don't
just,
get
like,
caught up in
So
I don't
logic-
get caught up in it.
Logic
and, like,
overrides your
yeah.
emotions. I see.
like, head over heart.
So there's
Head
not.
instead of, I don't know what the phrase is. Something like that.
So there are no emotions that you're not comfortable with.